It only took me 2.5 hours of gameplay, but I broke Starfield in the most hilarious way possible. I guess we just become Martian and just live here for the rest of our lives? That's fine, we just go live in Mars. Mars seems like a pretty sound place. The game starts May 7th, 2330. Wait, in Argos? Are they gonna have me mining little blue pens or something? Jesus Christ, I thought they'd have been bankrupt by then. So yes, potentially culturally problematic. They've stuck a Welshman back down the bloody mines. If I see a space sheep floating about, I'm suing Bethesda for racism. But at least they make up for it by giving me a space laser. But I'd say my supervisor immediately regrets that decision. In fact, my work colleagues aren't exactly fond of that decision either. And I'm not saying Bethesda have a toxic work environment. But how come I can do this to the working class smos, but middle management are simply untouchable? Honestly, this might be the worst thing Bethesda have ever done. But then again, I never played Fallout 76. So basically my 9 to 5 is zapping special space rock. But I'd say having this shit floating about is probably an OSHA violation. But then again, if I could trip balls from just touching a special space rock, I probably would too. I then wake up in the medley tent and they say that I'm physically okay. But if that was true, why would they offer me free plastic surgery? But hey, I suppose it's a good thing I'm able to reinvent myself as a tramline rocking red-haired hunk. I also choose my background to match my actual personality as a cheeky little space scoundrel. I'm sure you'll agree I'm very persuasive. At the end of the day, I did convince you to like the video and subscribe. It also means I'm an excellent pilot, and IRL I am like the country's best driver. But it's probably best to ignore the third perk. For my traits, I choose wanted, neon street rat, and my ultimate childhood fantasy of having my parents in the same room as each other. But not for the reasons you might think. Boss Lady Lynn is then like, well, you seem fine, let's get back to work, big boy. Although my menacing ways never do end. I steal these pliers, this staple gun, and this lady's iPad. But she's not exactly pleased about it.
Oh, sure, just take my stuff.
But I think I handled the situation in a very professional manner. Don't fucking chat shit to me, love, right? I'll space laser you, alright? We then head outside and my first thought is to immediately test the gravity. How would I know if I was in space if I'm not floating about in that? I continue stealing everything I can get my grubby little hands on. Then we meet this lad who wants the special space rock I touched. But it turns out he was getting chased by pirates and I've now got to go fight them off with my mining equipment. But I'm guessing pirates are just massive pussies, as my space laser barely tickled my work colleagues. Once everyone's dead, I steal all of their guns and that. Then the bloke from earlier is like, fair play, but you can really handle yourself. Do me a favour, take my robot on my ship and deliver this space rock to my boys and girls in Atlanta City. I'm like, nah mate, that robot is like proper shit like. But then he gives me a Fitbit as a bribe. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair play. So I then take off looking for adventure in the stars, leaving this barren mining moon behind me for good. My grandfather would be absolutely seething, boys, fair play. We then get involved in a space drive-by, but as a cheeky little scoundrel I know exactly how to deal with these kinds of situations. Vasco the robot's then like, bro, you know they're not alone, land on this moon, we're gonna take out these boys. And fair play to him, I never thought I'd have a robot as our ride or die. We find a research lab, and apparently that's the perfect hideout for pirates. I'll have to make a mental note of that for when I decide to become one in the future. I enter the research station and immediately shoot a red barrel that Vasco just happens to be standing next to. Well, Vasco's dead. But hey look, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. You shoot the thing that's red in video games. Oh look, I'm on fire. I then find some pirates and shoot them without mercy. What can I say, is the space scoundrel code? Shoot first and let some other prick worry about the questions later. And also Vasco's back. You might as well have the nickname Herpes as you just can't get rid of the fucker. We eventually find the pirate captain, and at this point most people got the opportunity to converse with the big boy. But not me. I see a red barrel and I gotta shoot that fucker. But fair play, he's proper thick like. Gotta nickname him SpongeBob for the amount of bullets it takes to take him down. But have some of that, you prick. And with Captain Jack Sparrow dead, we can now fast travel to Jemison via some quite complicated menu screens. But it's probably advisable not to open fire on the first civilian ship you see. It might be obvious to intelligent people like yourselves, but the space fuzz don't exactly take too kindly to that. Take 2, I try not to breach the Geneva Convention and land safely at New Atlantis. But there is just one thing I need to check with the Geneva Convention. Is it okay to shoot innocent dock workers in the face with a pistol? Because this game seems to think it's not. I'm also apparently not allowed to use the subway when wanted for war crimes. Honestly, Bethesda, what is this shit? It's proper discriminatory. Don't you know terrorists need to get to work on time as well? Rather predictably, I can't take on an entire space army, so we jump to take 3. And this time I figure it's probably best not to shoot Fred in the face. And it also turns out traveling around the city's infrastructure is a lot easier when you don't murder the working class. So I end up in the Mast District, and it's fair to say this NPC was very surprised to see me. He must have heard about all those war crimes I committed in a past life. Also turns out UC security are perfectly fine with you sticking guns in people's faces. It's just the shooting of innocent dock workers that's frowned upon. At this point I'm fully invested in what I can get away with in this video game. So I equip myself a cheeky shank and go hunting in for an isolated subject. I find this person sat on a park bench, just enjoying a quiet snack before going back to work. And the moment I figure we're alone, I go all prison rules on the lad. And fair play, the lad can really take a good stabbing. Doesn't even scream or anything. Just gets up and jogs away backwards like it's a mild inconvenience. But the people who have got an issue with it are UC security. Apparently knifing civilians is against Galactic Code 69 or something. And I can't even progress the game on the account of me being like a domestic terrorist or something. And fair play to Vasco, not afraid to get his hands dirty. So I decide to run off into the wilderness to try and lose the fuzz. But that's where I discover that this game is literally unplayable. I find myself a little pond to have a little cool off in, and then I want to roleplay as a little frog. You might think that's unusual, but Bethesda said I can be whatever I want to be. Oh, this game is literally unplayable. Look at that. We need to cancel Bethesda. After hiding out in the wilderness for 5, I decide to go back to the main city. But apparently the cops can recognise me even when I haven't got my suit on. Jesus Christ, the law enforcement in this game are harder to get rid of than HMRC. Rather predictably, I go down in super dramatic fashion. Listen here, but there's no need for that GCSE drama performance, alright? So take 3, I respawn back at the ship. For the second time, don't shoot Fred. Take the tube back to the mass district and show off massive restraint by not cutting up any NPCs. And that's called growth, alright? I can then finally get to the lodge, and it's time to meet our fellow retrobates. There's Sarah, whose haircut says let me speak to the manager, but I say cat lady who's gonna die alone. We've also got the obligatory Tory, who's obviously gonna sell us out as soon as it becomes convenient to do so. There's also 2 peeps in the background who obviously aren't that important. They then pay the price for letting in a space scoundrel, as I walk around pinching everything from this secret little space hideout. I then finally give him the space rock I was supposed to deliver. It goes all shiny and floats in a globe with the other space rocks. Then Sarah's like, this is so cool, me and you should go find some more of these space rock things. Apparently I don't get a choice in that, and here I am out in the open world. I've traded my ride or die robot friend for a cute blonde, but you know what they say, robos before hoes. Together we go chat to a friend, Commander John. John tells us about some bloke on Mars who might have some more information on these space rocks. I thank John for this information by shooting him in the face. Sarah then abandons me, which just proves my earlier point. Robos before hoes. When I was in trouble earlier, Vasco was a real one and helped me fight off the security. Sarah, on the other hand, simply hasn't got time for that shit. Although she does stick around, she just simply refuses to engage in combat. But I figure out a way of putting her to good use by using her as a human shield. Okay, maybe that wasn't such a good use after all. Okay, so take 4 or 5? I'm not too sure, numbers aren't my strong thing. I want to pay a visit to Mummy and Daddy. You can find them at the Pioneer Tower, but it's fair to say they don't look anything like me. Come on Dad, where's the fucking tram lines, eh? But it's time to get dark for a second. There's only one simple reason why I wanted to choose the kid stuff trait. I wanted to be Batman. It won't even let me treat my own father like I'm a Saudi prince and he's an innocent journalist. You mean I can't just murder my parents? I'm sorry, but my review score will be reflected by this moment. Moving on from attempted patricide, honestly I swear I don't have any daddy issues. Me and Sarah can then travel to Mars. Seeing as in this timeline I didn't shoot John in the face and she didn't abandon me. But I'd recommend not just exiting the ship without checking your current equipment. Oh, hang on, I haven't got my helmet on. Now properly equipped for wandering around barren planets, I can now safely booster pack my way to the Mars mining colony. And I certainly wouldn't make a menace of myself while waiting to load in. It's just a prank, bro, chill. We then do what any respectable space traveller would do and hit the bar. But sadly it doesn't seem like I can get smashed. Apparently the bloke we're looking for owes the barman quite a bit of money, and he's like, I can tell you where he is if you just pay off his bar tab. But remember, I'm a space scoundrel, and that means I can be one persuasive boy. And that's exactly what I do, by smashing the A button 3 times. He tells us he's out patrolling around Venus, but unfortunately I will never get there. You see, on my way back to the ship I make a game-ending mistake by smacking this woman in the face with the butt of my gun. Again, this makes Sarah quite angry with me, and I've once again got to run away from the fuzz. They are a much higher level than me, so there's no point me fighting, I just need to escape. So I get back to my ship, take off, and I'm immediately obliterated by the patrolling ships around Mars. But that's alright, because surely my wanted level dies with me, right? Oh no, the patrols once again decimate my ship, and there's simply just no escape as everything is just such a higher level than me, other than the dickhead I let kill me, as I was just trying to see if that would free me from my crimes. But that's alright, I can just fast travel my way to safety. Oh no, you can't fast travel during combat. Okay, no problem, I'll just run off into the desert and surely I'll lose the combatants that way, right? But no, that still wouldn't work. Okay, fair enough, I'll just load an autosave point. But because it autosaved itself 3 times in a 6-minute period, I couldn't load a state that didn't immediately mark me for death. So here I am living out Elon Musk's fantasy, destined to die on Mars over and over again. The spaceships above me are all level 30 plus, so I have simply no chance of escaping. My only chance is to load the earliest possible save point and lose over 2 hours of progress. What an absolute fucking joke. So let this video be a warning to you all. Don't play this game like a psychotic maniac, otherwise you'll end up trapped in a barren wasteland. Or you could just save your game before you go on a psychotic rampage. That would probably be easier, to be honest.